Hi folks, I'm Tristan from Noisegate, here to take a look at a new Max for Live device called Microtuner, which is a tool for utilizing and creating your own microtonal scales. Microtonal, meaning the distance between two notes, is different to the regular distance, and this can sound pretty strange and it can be quite off-putting to people, which is a shame because microtonal scales are a really cool way of creating interesting melodies. So if you've never explored microtonal scales, then I would encourage you to try out Microtuner because it makes it easier than ever. You can use it with an MPE controller like the one I'm using here, but you can also use it with any other MIDI controller, or even just a MIDI sequencer. It just sits as a MIDI effect in front of whatever MIDI instrument you want to use. I'm using Wavetable here, and translates all the incoming MIDI notes into microtonal scales. And it does that using pitch bend. So it's important to make sure your pitch bend setting in Microtuner matches the pitch bend setting in your instrument. You can see here in the MPE matrix, my note pitch bend range is set to 48, just like Microtuner. Now, if you don't want to dive straight into creating your own microtonal scales, the instructions come with a link to download a set of 5,000 scale presets. I've loaded them into this instance of Microtuner, and you can see what 5,000 scale presets looks like. There's a lot to dive through here. I just picked one at random, and it sounded pretty cool, so I had a bit of a play around using this instrument preset and some drums. But you could spend a long time just playing around with these presets, finding all sorts of fun scales to create interesting sounds. If you do want to create your own scale, just turn on the generator and then choose the number of pitches, and then use this octave ratio to determine how spread out the pitches are relative to one octave. For example, if I used 12 pitches and use an octave ratio of 1 to 2, then hit generate, we'll see that 1 octave on my keyboard is less than 1 octave. That gets me a flat fifth. To play a full octave, I have to play 2 octaves. If I reverse the ratio, so it was 2 to 1, now 1 octave on my keyboard would be 2 octaves. So a semitone will be a full tone, which is a really fun way to play full tone scales. Or if you try to play full tones, you'll get hectic sort of Danny Elfman vibes. But you can, of course, get far more experimental with this and try different numbers of pitches and more unusual ratios. Let's see how this turns out. Well, you're never really sure how it's going to turn out, but it's a lot of fun to play around with. Another way of approaching this is to say you use a preset scale in one side, then turn on the blend mode, then go over to the B tab and create a new scale. Let's just dial in something random, add a bit of randomness as well. Okay, now this should sound pretty strange. It's interesting, but then you can use the blend slide to blend between the two scales. Alright, so there's tons to play around with here, but it's also very straightforward, so it's easy to dive in and just start playing around with microtonal scales. So Microtuner is free for anyone that owns Live 11 and Max for Live, including Live Suite owners, so I would encourage you to give it a shot. So thanks very much for watching. Please leave any questions or comments down below and stay tuned for more videos coming soon.